in a particular diner here. So to do that, we should keep track of a diner's total bill. So let's create a new variable. Okay, the double variable type is a new type, or new data type. It's basically, okay, so you know what an integer is. An integer is a whole number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A double is a number that can also be, that can also have fractional values. So like 5.2 or 3.14, that sort of stuff. You can also use public float total, float being a floating point number. These two are basically the same thing, a double and a float. There are differences, but we don't really care about them for the purposes of this tutorial. If you want, you can search up, what's the difference between a float and a double. But anyway, so we're going to use double. We're going to call it total, and it's going to be a number that represents a customer's total bill. So let's assign it something down here. When a customer is created, we're just going to set it equal to 0. I like to use 0.0 instead of just 0 because it reminds me that I'm dealing with a double and not an integer. Okay, so it starts off with 0, and then something happens to it when we update the total. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure the total is still equal to 0. And the reason we want to do that is every time we run this thing, the update total code, we want to reset the total to 0 and then recalculate the total. And how do we recalculate the total? Give me 1 second, I'm just going to copy and paste this. So for int I equals 0, I is less than order list.size I plus plus. We're going to create a for loop that goes through every single order in this diner's order list. And every time it does that, we're going to add whatever is inside that order to the total. Of course, every single order in the order list is actually an edit text, so first we got to get the text from that, and then we got to turn the text into a string, and then we got to turn the string into a double, because you can't add a string to a double, and total is a double, so we need to add doubles to doubles. So we need to turn this thing right here to a double. Okay, and then finally, we can set the number down here. Whoops. The number down here, which is called TV split bill. We can set that text equal to how do I do this easily? Okay, don't worry too much about this stuff right here. We'll go into that in the next tutorial. Let's look at the stuff before that. So the first thing we do whenever we update a total is we set the total to 0. And then we start a for loop that runs through every single order in this diner. And then for every iteration of that for loop, we add something to total. What do we add? We add this. So what's this? Order list.getI, which means get the order at this iteration. Get the text of that order. Turn the text of that order into a string. Turn that string into a double, which is what double.parseDouble does. It turns a string into a double. Add that double, which is the numerical amount of that order, to the total. And then go on, restart the loop again, do this for the next order, and then add the next order's number, numerical value to the total, restart again, do this for every single order, and at the end, total will equal the sum of every single order in this diner's order list. Now you might be wondering, why do you go and turn this Okay, remember when we do order list at get I, we get an editable. We don't get a string, so we have to turn that into a string here. Or sorry, when we use get text, we get an editable, not a string. So we have to turn that editable into a string. But why don't we? And then we have to turn that string into double. Isn't there any way to shortcut that and just return this text into a double right away? And the answer is basically no, not that I know of. So you first have to turn it into a string, and then you have to turn that string into a double. As far as I know, that's the easiest way to do this. Okay, so that's done. And once we have the total, we want to set the, excuse me, my throat is sore. Once we have the total number, which is the sum of all the orders, we want to set the TV split bill, which again is the number down here. We want to set that text equal to the total. Now we have this weird thing here. Let's talk about what this weird thing is in the next video. I'm going to end this for now. See you guys.